The zoo's up to mischief again. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. That's right, we've documented cool models like the Les Paul Rhythm Jr., the Les Paul Senior, the Queen of Clean. Those are all examples of the music zoo being crazy, doing custom orders to offer to their customers. And that's why I like those guys. They're not afraid to be scary and put their own money on the line. But this time, they've birthed something that they are calling the Extra Special. So we saw a Junior and a Standard get blent, but now we're seeing a Standard and a Special. And we're starting things off awesomely here because I love getting these faux alligator skin cases. They're supposed to look like these old ones that the Melody Makers and Juniors would get, but now we get them reissued in a much higher quality version. So let's see what this Extra Special's about. Oh my. This thing is fun. That is the key word here. Basically, it's a Les Paul Standard, but it doesn't have the maple top, so it's got like the special flat body and the special pick guard, but everything else is Les Paul Standard as like far as your neck and headstock goes. So that's the easiest way to make sense out of this. However, I think it's just more so supposed to be a Les Paul Special that has been dressed up with a cool custom color here, because a normal Les Paul Special in today's lineup looks like this. It's currently only being offered in TV yellow outside of custom orders. It's got two P90 pickups, it's got a wrap tail piece. The fretboard features dot inlays, and you've got those small button tuners and black plastics. And in a store, it will be $4,199 brand new. So in comparison to that, this thing is very different, but it still has a Les Paul Special / Junior shelf over here. So calling it a maple topless R8 is not exactly true. But now we've got humbucker pickups. We don't have the wrap tail piece, it's the ABR one with the stop bar. We've got the trapezoid inlays, and my favorite thing that they upgraded here is we get the real Clusen tuners. But take a look at this finish. This is not just a cherry color. This is actually the Aniline Dyed red. So it's the exact same as the back of any reissue that you'll get. So it's that extra dark cherry that's going to bleed into your binding and everything. And as far as I'm aware, this is the only one that they made, and it was only a $500 premium for all these other specs. Which, all things considered, for all the unique specs, I figured, why not? Let's pick it up, do a review and demo. Outside of the guitar and the cool case, what kind of case candy do we get? Looks like our usual stuff, a COA that bills it as a 57 Les Paul Special SC for single cut, because there are double cut varieties out there, and all of our usual Gibson hang tags, Mr. Dealer card, etc. Silica packet, case keys, and an extra back plate if you don't want the medallion. And then the dealer included their own polish cloth. That's nice. So as far as first impressions here, it's something a little bit different, but yet still familiar, and you get the awesome wood grain figuring within the body. I like that. It's a pretty chunky weight, and the neck is massive on this thing, so if you like big necks, you won't mind this. But it essentially took the few small things that I don't like about Juniors and got rid of them, but at the same time, changed the P90 pickups I love, but I could see how somebody would dig having humbuckers in here with the full stop bar setup. But before we hear how this one sounds, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to see how they spec'd our pickups. I'm really glad I picked this special up because I learned something about historic spec specials. They don't have a long neck tenon. They have short neck tenons, so I would assume a Junior is built in a very similar way. And when I first saw that, I was like, that can't be right. So I had to dig through the internet, and this was the best photo I could find, but yeah, sure enough, that's how they were done. It appears the long neck tenon got introduced onto the Junior and Special model when they redesigned it into the double cut shape, or at least shortly after that. But you'll notice we just have the natural mahogany color in our cavities. The bridge pickup has a little bit of dye though. But that's something else to know about these aniline dyed finishes. Over time, these will age and fade out. So eventually you'll get more of a natural mahogany color if you leave this thing in the sun. But as far as pickups, we are rocking the Custombuckers, which is one of the more sought after custom shop pickups, so that's a nice touch. But that all comes down to personal preference. But it reads 7.91 k ohms in the bridge, neck position 7.97, and our middle just for fun 3.97. We've got the ABR1 that we were talking about earlier, and it is indeed mounted traditionally. There are no studs in the body, and it is a lightweight aluminum tailpiece. I'm definitely glad they put some sort of a pick guard on here, because not having it at all just kind of makes it look cheap. But this is a slightly custom pick guard due to the fact that they had to enlarge it for the humbuckers. The cream pairs well with the aniline dyed cherry, but I found it strange. You've got it on the poker chip, you've got switch tip, pickup rings, pick guard, historic knobs, but then you get to the side and, oh, it's black. I wonder if they did that because the side profile shot, you still see the cream. So that was an interesting spec. But this is a one-piece mahogany body. It is so heavy. And this is utilizing Gibson's VOS finish, so you're going to see lots of polishing swirls and kind of a light gunk over top of this to give it a slight haze. You either like VOS or you don't. It's just something to expect on many custom shop guitars. I do see a small dip in the finish right here, but that lines up with where a wood grain spot is, so maybe it just needed a bit more grain fill. But this is indeed a flat top. So moving on from our body, we've got our mahogany neck and our rosewood fretboard. I conditioned this up to make it look a little bit better, but you've got your standard historic style trapezoid celluloid inlays. They're looking nice and sharp. It's got your standard 24 3/4 inch scale length with 12-inch fretboard radius. Looks like a nylon nut at 1.67 inches. That increases to 2.04 by the 12th. They first fret necked up the 0.92. And then we got 1.04 by the 12th. That's just a big neck. That's as big as they come, my friends. Here's a look at that chunky neck at the 1st fret and the 12th fret. It does have a very slight flat back to it though. I would have never noticed had I not put it on the contour gauge, but once you see it and then you really go to feel it, you can just feel a very slight flatness. That's why contour gauges are so helpful. Moving on to our headstock, you can see our truss rod is in good shape. Got the historic style truss rod cover with the nice beveled edge. And we do indeed still have the Les Paul Special silkscreen and the Gibson Mother of Pearl logo with our upgraded tuners. Similar to what we saw on the body, there is a small impression on the side of the headstock. However, I think that one's actually just a minor ding. Flipping over to the back kind of solved the mystery here. We actually still have black back plates, so they probably decided to match it with these. You might ask why they didn't just do cream back plates. I think it's because they like using these medallions, and the cream would kind of clash with that because it's made to partner with the ebony that you typically see. But here's what our control cavity is looking like. It's your standard historic style with bumblebee capacitors and Gibson branded pots, all wired up 50 style. That should be as good as it gets as far as traditional tones go. But we've got a strap button down here and one up there. And as far as QC on the back goes, I didn't notice any dips anywhere. Doesn't mean that there's not one or two that I happen to have missed, but I was really looking and I didn't see any more than the two I've already shown you. But there is this, and it's the reason why I don't really like VOS finishes. Sometimes it bunches up in certain areas, so it looks like something's wrong with your neck heel. But no, that's just the VOS. The VOS treatment also applies to your hardware. You see how the nickel hardware's not 100% perfect either, has a little bit of a patina to it. Although oddly our strap buttons are way too shiny in comparison. So I just put a little bit of guitar polish on a Q-tip, and I would say that all looks 100% better now. So you're probably wondering, why doesn't Gibson do that at the factory? I mean, now if you look at it, you can kind of see a slightly polished area where the VOS isn't at anymore. So it's kind of a pick your poison type thing. I think I prefer it like this though, because you really can't tell too much of a difference unless you're the guy that did it, or it was pointed out to you. The mahogany they used for the neck definitely has a little bit more space between the wood grain. It gives it a completely different vibe, because the body's really tight grain. And then that really deep cherry grain fill, in contrast to the mahogany color, makes it look like it's faded a little bit already. But here's what our headstock looks like with our single line, single ring Clusen tuners, and our serial number dating this one to 2023, 57 reissue. But I can't believe it only weighs 8 pounds, 13.5 ounces. It feels way heavier than that. All that weight is concentrated in the body. But let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how it sounds. Just from that, I absolutely love this guitar. This is the best Custombucker equipped Les Paul that I think I've had. These pickups sound great in here. And I was initially a little bit scared because it's, you know, not the P90s that I normally associate with this and love so much, but the neck and middle position is just so expressive. first I wasn't really liking this bridge pickup for cleans, because it sounded like this, all on 10s. Sounds great if you want to do some rockin', but for just general clean tones, I found rolling that down to 4.5 makes it match the other pickups much better. All right, let's move on to some dirt. Now that we know all about the Gibson Music Zoo exclusive extra special, what are my final thoughts on this thing? You know, I just bought it because I thought, yeah, fun review and demo. It's got some quirky specs, so even if it's not that good of a guitar, we've got that going for it, but holy cow! Best humbucker pickups that we've demoed out of the custom shop. This is definitely meant for a player to be put on stage, not kept in a collection. This thing wants to sing. And the weight on the guitar really wasn't that bad once you put it on a strap, but most of it is within the body. That's pretty much my only complaint on this guitar, is that it feels heavier than it's supposed to be, but the tone is there. The looks, I finally understand why I was drawn to this. It looks vaguely similar to the Bob Marley Les Paul Special. You can check that out in this episode here. His is a Les Paul Special that's been modified with like a weird pick guard, and we've got a weird pick guard thing going on here. His still had the P90 pickups, and we got humbuckers here, but it's mainly having the trapezoid inlays right here. His had the small blocks. So it's Les Paul Special with inlays it's not supposed to have. It gives a vague similar resemblance to it. That's why my subconscious said, yeah, you want that guitar. All right, troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. If you're interested in being the next owner of this one, you can find it on my website, troglysguitarshow.com. So thank you for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.